So it's Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by 11-0 Abdul Khan and his manager Shane Watson. How you doing, boys?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. We are just saying off camera, just over 3 weeks to go for you, Abdul. Not you, Shane. You're not getting in the ring. But
Not yet.
yeah, against John Edwardson, John Edo, for the Commonwealth Silver title at Super Featherweight, I believe. Ready for this step up? He's coming off a close defeat for the Central area.
Yeah, I'm more than ready for this step up. If I'm not ready now, then when? Because I've been pro for 3 years now, and I've had 11 fights now, and Shane can tell you the same. Me and Shane, we've been working together for about 4 months or something. Him and Amir, and the first thing we said to Shane was like, "Listen, we want good fights now. We want to step up and show people that what we're about."
Yeah, as you kind of alluded to there, you were originally mentored and managed by Amir Khan, your cousin, of course, incredibly decorated. I don't think anyone watching this channel won't know about all Amir's achievements, and I was blessed to cover him from almost the very start at Boxing News. But Shane, how did the arrangement between yourself and Abdul come together?
You said everyone on the channel would know Amir Khan's achievements. What about mine?
Well, let's say 50-50. We'll put a
We're on
poll
the
out
same
at the
kind of
end.
level, weren't we? No? No, I'm joking. Um, so yeah, no, to be honest, I speak to Amir for quite a number of years, fairly often here and there. We speak a fair bit. He's known of me for a long time because just from being about on the scene, really. We just see each other a lot and used to always speak to. And obviously, when I first met him, I used to do interviews back then, a bit better than yourself, actually, Danny. Back
Just
then,
a bit.
and yeah, so I know we had a relationship with him since then, and then we've just always kind of stayed in contact, and whenever we've seen each other. Um, and yeah, he basically just came to me. I was speaking to him about Abdul a while ago, and he was saying he didn't really know where to put him or what to kind of do with him, and he kind of asked for my assistance really. Then I spoke to Abdul over. We spoke on video call and stuff. I liked his attitude. I set him like a little task that he didn't even really realise I did at first to see how committed he was to the game. I got him to move to London from Manchester, and he came. He went on trials of trainers. Unfortunately, with those guys, it didn't really work out in the sense that the styles didn't really work probably, but he still came and did it on like a day's notice, which I did appreciate of him. And then even better than that, he decided to move to America. So he was working out in America with various different guys, and he was working with some really good guys. Same team as Sandy Ryan, with Flick and Coach K, a really good experienced team who I like very well. But we made the decision for him to come back home. Part of the reason being, he had a lot of media stuff he needed to do here, and he had to sign a deal with his new promoter and stuff like that. And part of the other reason was, in my opinion, not in Abdul's opinion, I wanted him to be the full focus of the camp. Like they have a lot of world level guys already in the gym, so naturally that means that the prospect, which is what Abdul is at this moment in time, doesn't get maybe the time that maybe one of the world champions would do, which is understandable. It's not me digging them out; it's completely understandable. Um, but the aim is in the future, maybe after this camp, or maybe just after Christmas or whatever, or maybe just after his next fight, where we've Abdul to go over there again, get some learning in out of camp. I think that'd be something you should always do. What we've at SRAM, it's kind of something we always did with our guys. Really, we sent Johnny Fisher out there. Of course, Joe used to do camp out there. Tommy Fletcher, he used to go out there as well. It's something that I think is important for a fighter's career to go around the gyms in America, spar some of the best talent, work with the different trainers. Not to be your trainer, but just pick up a few tricks here and there. And it's something that I look to implement with Abdul as well. Luckily, he's got some good backers behind him that can support him on that goal and the dream of doing that, which he's very lucky to have. And so yeah, we're going to keep doing that. We've got this fight on November the 15th now live in the zone, courtesy of Block One Sports, which is a new promotional company who've got a very good deal with the zone. We're working with them and Abdul now because they're the ones that offered Abdul the best offer and the most amount of money, to be quite bluntly honest. And it's somewhere where he can be their number one. I think that's quite important. Abdul could have gone to another one of the big three or four promoters, but the problem is there he'll just be kind of down the pecking order, and he'd probably end up having to take a fight he's not ready for, in my opinion. So I thought it'd be best for him to go somewhere that's going to look after him, give him the right fights at the right time. I mean, he's not having an easy fight by any means, but his first fight, he's still fighting a legitimate guy who's coming to win for a title in his first fight. So, but we can move at his own pace rather than everyone else's pace, and that's what I like. And even though he's got a new trainer, he's worked with Alex Matavenko, who used to spar Amir and that back in the day. He fought for a British title, I think, actually. Um, but yeah, he's still only just gone back to him after these years, so it takes a bit of time again to gel and implement the new things they're learning. So it's been a good relationship so far, but we yet to get fight number one underway. But we were on November 15th.
Abdul, are you able to tell us? Shane will probably say no before I get the question out, but who the trainers were you trialled with in London?
There was a few good gyms, the Jab Boxing Academy with Josh Burnham and all these guys, and
I know, Josh.
there's a few more. They're very good trainers. They're very good. I really respect them highly, and they got a really good knowledge. But Shane wanted to really see if I was really committed. So I didn't even know about it, and then obviously then I went down there. It was just good, mixing it in different gyms and learning, and then in August, thankfully, I was lucky enough to go out to Vegas for a month, training there with the best, sparring them, learning from the best. And, I just wanted to take myself out of my comfort zone. I went alone, went on my own, didn't go with no entourage, didn't go with no team. Shane was on the phone with me every day. He'd ring me just to see if I'm good, whatever I need.
Sounds like a
He's got
nightmare.
some, yeah, because he's got some good contacts out there. He patterned up the UFC Institute, for my
Performance center.
recovery. Yeah, so thanks to him for that as well. And every single day, he'd make sure, even if I had money in my pocket, So Shane's like he's more than just a manager. Built a really good relationship with him, and it's just good. So now, obviously, I'm back training with Alex Matvienko. He was my first coach when I started boxing when I was 8 years old, and it's good to be back with him. Back home.
In terms of when you were over in America, the trainers that you worked with and the sparring, who stood out to you as kind of the better trainers and some of the better sparring you had?
I think K. Kroma's a really good coach. He's we still speak, now. He's a really good, cool guy. Like I like his attitude, with life. He's just a laid back kind of guy. I sparred the silver medalist, Duke Reagan. He was sharp. He's got a really good jab, sharp, and even like just picking their brains and stuff, and even watching the other guys spar. Like I seen Kamal Martin spar in the gym. He's a good. Everyone knows Kamal Martin, and it was just good to be there.
And you've obviously you don't have to look far for an inspiration in your own cousin who achieved so much, both amateur and pro. But who else did you kind of look up to as a kid when you first got into boxing? Who are your like boxing influences?
Like back then when I was growing up, like David Haye, he was that guy back then. Like I remember watching his fight with Chisora live. Like I remember watching on TV, and that's like the earliest memory I've got of boxing. To be fair, if I'm honest with you, obviously Amir's fights too when he went to America, but at that time I remember David Haye. He was like that guy back then. So I used to like him, like knockouts and stuff. So yeah.
How much influence have you had from Amir, not so much in the ring, but outside it, and how to deal with the boxing, the business side as you go through the levels?
Massively. He's seen everything in the sport. He's rubbed shoulders with everybody in the sport. He knows what to look out for. Who's right, who's wrong. He's always been there. To be fair, thanks to him. Even outside of boxing, even in life, like he's like more of a brother. By bond. So he's always there.
And Shane, we've seen a level of pressure added to the likes of Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., Campbell Hatton. Obviously, they're famous fathers rather than a cousin, but do you anticipate there will be an element of comparisons and pressure on Abdul because of Amir's achievements?
I think the pressure will come more. But the thing is, Abdul's career, and it's been a bit of a confusing one from what I've looked at so far, but kind of where he's gone under the radar, and he's boxed on small shows, boxed on a few TV bills, but yeah, mostly small hall. I think he's kind of eradicated that pressure because he's just kind of gone under the radar anyway.
Hmm.
I think that's probably going to come now with the TV deal, with the belts. Then people start to take notice, and then there's like, well, when are you going to fight this guy? I mean, luckily, in some way, I guess none of the. Well, I guess it's not lucky because it would be quite cool when one of those rivals' siblings were in the same division because it would always just mean for quite a cool and fun fight. I mean, let's just say if Conor Benn was a super featherweight. I mean, I know that Conor was calling out Amir and stuff before he retired, so it could have been a bit of fun there, really, down the line. But I mean, you never know. He might grow into a welterweight one day. Who knows? But no, to be honest, the pressure is only pressure you put on yourself at the end of the day. Like, if there's pressure on him, and it's a good thing because people are interested in him and they want to see him fight. I mean, that's the aim in the game, really. And then he can get paid properly too. So, like, in my opinion, it's not really something I really overly worry about or focus about. I've been in situations with fighters before where they're under a lot of pressure to fight someone. I mean, Joe used to get it all the time, especially when he was in that mix. Fisher was getting it quite a lot as well. It's something that's quite common. And Marku was getting it a lot after the Chris Jenkins fight, about the rumors about him and Mark, and then kind of better than that. Obviously, with a sibling, it's a little bit different, but or a relative, it's a bit different. But to be honest, I wouldn't really worry about it, man. All the focus is November 15th. If you don't win that fight, then nobody's going to be talking about us.
Yeah,
We're at the
exactly.
bottom of the
That's
pile.
what I
So
mean.
And with that in mind, he's still only 22 years old. I don't mean to talk about you like you're not there, Abdul. You're still only 22 years old. How much can he be fast tracked, Shane, in your view?
well, this is the thing, and this I was saying this almost to myself the other day. I was like, he might be 11-0 on paper, but a lot of those fights, the way I see fighting a journeyman, like, I genuinely see that as pointless. I don't get the point of it because you're not actually having a real fight. I'm not making it out as corrupt here, but like in the sense of like their journeymen are not coming to win. So pretty much what I'm saying is the scorecards are already written to an extent, yeah, because they're not coming to win the fight, right? The majority of them. So really, I think Abdul's probably had. Well, he has been undefeated. He stopped an undefeated guy. Being an undefeated guy who's 3-0. I mean, that's a guy that's coming to win and giving it a good go. So that counts. But only really 3 or 4 of them, in my opinion, apart from the round fitness he got from some of them, really count. So looking at it that way, he isn't, in my opinion, really an 11-0 fighter in the sense of when you're ready to push him. Because 11-0 would necessarily mean that he could. I look at Louis Edmondson the other day. He's 10-0. He won a British and Commonwealth title. That doesn't mean that the Abdul now should be fighting for British and Commonwealth titles. I'm just trying to add it up and like make it make sense that way, even though it probably doesn't make complete sense. But what it means is that this is the adequate title for him to fight in this one. I think all being well, he wins that, maybe defend it or go down the youth title route. Because then you can slowly build him in the right way. And then maybe in 18 months' time, he'll be in a Commonwealth title against someone like Michael Gomez or something like that. Michael Gomez Jr. That's the one that I like. Because Amir Khan beat his father. And then you've got Abdul Khan fighting his son. So that's the one that I like. That's the one that we can kind of make. Nowhere near the scale of, the Eubank bends and stuff. But it's a little fun one that we can make maybe the next year or so.
It's a good idea. I mean, how aware are you, Abdul, of Amir's history and kind of the big rivalries he had? And as Shane said, the possibility of fighting some of their relatives.
It's just fun, Obviously, you just gotta keep winning. That's all it is. Just keep that streak up because he only lost to like the best, Crawford, Canelo, and these guys. But I'll fight anyone to be fair. But obviously, I'm not looking past November 15th. That's just my focus right now.
Have you got any particular goals in terms of titles or boxes you want to tick, places you want to fight, anything like that?
To be fair, like I'd love to fight in America one day or even Saudi or some shit because that's like where everyone's going right now. But titles wise, I feel like let everything come to me. I don't want to chase anything. I just want to attract it. So
Good stuff. Shane, while I've got the chance to speak to you, and I'll ask Abdul as well, but I wanted to ask you about a couple of your former colleagues at SJAM,
Yeah.
fighter-wise, that is. And Dave Allen recently announced that he's going to be fighting Johnny Fisher, so a big step up on paper, at least, for Johnny Fisher. What do you make of that fight?
Yeah, I think it's superb matchmaking from the SJAM team.
That's a very good way of putting it.
From Big John, I know he's associated with it as well, and and Johnny himself, Mark Tibbs, and obviously Sam Jones, I think, is now kind of a part of it now. I'm not really sure what the whole deal is there, but yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it's a great fight for them style wise. Johnny deals with people that come. I'm trying to say this not disrespectfully because I've got the utmost respect for Dave Allen, but like comes forward in like straight lines and a bit like high guard, a bit like someone who's got fast hands and you can punch like Johnny. That is almost a style that's made for him, as you've seen against Babic and whatnot. But obviously, Dave Allen is a better version of Babic, by the way, so I'm not trying to disrespect him. I'm just saying off of who Johnny's fought before and who I've seen him spar before as well. But it's definitely a great fight for Johnny because it can propel him onto hopefully get much needed rounds. That'd be great for him for starters. And secondly, it's a name that really can propel him onto almost superstardom in the sense of like, it's a legitimate win and it's one that can really put his name up in spotlight tomorrow because Dave Allen's well respected in Great Britain. Almost definitely every hardcore fan knows him. And he's fairly well known to the casuals as well. So it's one that can really propel him onto that next level. But I just think Dave Allen's had too many hard nights, and I think Johnny Fisher's coming into his prime now. I think it's just the worst possible time for him to take that fight. But you got to roll the dice. Dave Allen thinks he's got the experience and can old man him a little bit. That's the time to get him, I guess, because he ain't gonna be able to beat him in a couple more fights' time, that's for sure. But yeah, I don't think it's a good fight for Dave Allen. I don't really give him much chance of winning. But all I can hope is that he goes back home safe, as Tony Bow would say, to his
to his
wife and kids, and it's a good fight for the fans. But yeah, I'm backing Johnny Fisher all the way.
And Abdul, the kind of guys like Dave Allen and at a higher level, Derek Chisora, these kind of cult heroes of British boxing. Did you kind of grow up watching them? Were you an amateur while they were doing their business?
Can you, one sec. Can you see me?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, just got a call then. Yeah, I used to, obviously, like I remember Dave Allen. I think he fought like Ortiz or something. Like I was in amateurs back then. Yeah, Chisora. I've always liked watching Chisora. I just think he's got that. He's just like a dog in it. Like he ain't gonna go easy, so he's always in a good fight. And I heard he's fighting Miller next, so I think that's a really, really good fight. And I'm really intrigued about that one.
Who do you kind of fancy in that one? We obviously last time we saw Miller, he redeemed himself to an extent after the defeat to Dubois with the draw of Ruiz.
Yeah, I was at that Ruiz fight in LA. I think when I was watching it, I thought, wow, like this guy's so big. Like I don't think anything. Like I don't know how Dubois. Fair play to him. Dubois showed him heart when he beat him, but I think Miller might beat Chisora just because he's just a lot younger, fresher, super fit. Like he don't stop throwing, does he? But
Shane, segueing from Chisora to Chisora's most recent opponent, someone you know incredibly well in Joe Joyce. You were an integral part of his training camps in the last few fights when you were with SJAM, and you got very close. You're obviously, I imagine, still good friends with Joe. What did you make of the Chisora fight and Joe's future prospects as he does apparently intend to fight on?
Yeah, yeah. I was obviously quite surprised by the result. I thought it was good matchmaking by Esham. I thought in the sense of like who there is for Joe to fight at that level. There's not many names that I thought were suitable for him at that moment in time, apart from really Derek Chisora and maybe a couple of others. And Derek had looked awful respectively in the fight before that against Gerald Washington. And even that was over a year before. I think I was maybe about 15, 16 months. So I could only imagine he'd have aged since then, but apparently not. So, yeah, no, it was, I think to watch the fight, it was an unbelievable fight. I mean, I think the fans definitely had a good night, to say the least. But, yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to really comment on things when you're not part of the camp anymore because like before I could give a detailed response to why maybe something happened, but when you're not there, it's difficult to say. I don't know how he looked in camp. All I can say is that I just hope it was a real off night for him because the Joe that I knew was a lot better than that. He didn't really get his jab going, which is his best tool outside of his engine is his jab. When he gets it going, he's got one of the best jabs in the division. Like everyone was saying that after the Parker and Dubois fight. Sadly, hasn't shown it too much since then. But yeah, like it shouldn't be too hard to get your jab going against someone like Chisora, who's just sitting like a block on the ropes. He's just standing off, but he's just looking for that right hand all the time. He was missing it over by quite some bit, man. I don't know. Like I say, it's difficult to know when you don't know what they're working on in camp. I hear some good things that you had a really good camp. So, if that's the truth, then I don't really know what to say. It's difficult because Joe is 39, I think now. I still talk to him all the time. We're still really good friends. But not too many fighters are going to be at their best at 39, no matter who they are. So there's probably an element of that. An element of Derek showing up on the night as well, which he somehow does and proves everyone wrong, God knows how many times. So, that. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like Joe tried to smother in his work too much and just tried to use a tactic outworking him. And sometimes the more experienced guys like Derek we have an answer to that. And I think that's maybe what it was. I think if Joe rematched him, I reckon he would knock him out, to be honest. I think it's just one of those things. Everything he could have possibly done wrong, he did, and he still almost won. So it's quite, you know what? It's annoying actually, because I thought that would have been a good rematch to make immediately anyway. That could have fit on a good Saudi fight. Everyone would want to watch it again. Nobody watched it and thought, I mean, when it first got made, everyone was like, "Oh, it's atrocious, trippy boxing and that." And now everyone would tune up for the rematch. They'd know that it's quite an evenly matched fight, like it was, But yeah, I just hope for Joe. All my hopes is for him is that he's in a good place, and that as long as he still wants to fight, he does fight, and he remains healthy. That's all I can really say. I think it'd probably be sensible for him if he is having a next fight, like I've heard that he is. And going off of what he said on SJAM socials today, it looked like he's got another fight coming up. I just hope that it's a good warm up for him that can propel him to maybe a bigger or better fight. But it's got to be a good fight that gives him the confidence boost to push on to the next level, because you got to think, like, since the Parker fight, he's had quite a hard run. He had the both Zhang fights, which mentally have been quite tough. He had the Cash Ali tune-up, which was good for him and is what he needed. He had the hard Derek Chisora fight. You think about all these fights and how difficult they are. You had Parker before that. Right, you had the Hammer tune-up, then you had Takam before that, and you had the Bar before that, and you had both of those like very tough Zhang fights. You had the Cash Ali tune-up, right? Fair enough. Then you had Derek Chisora. So a very, very hard career he's had in the last couple of years, and it does take its toll. So I think a good tune-up to a certain level would be good for him, and then he can get back in the mix of one of the big guys again.
And that tune-up, presumably, without meaning to put words in your mouth, will tell you, not you, but tell SJAM where he's at, realistically.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need. You got to. But unfortunately, he didn't look great in the Cash Ali fight, but that was probably expected after both Zhang fights. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to come out looking like a prime Joe Lewis by any means. So,
Has he ever looked like a prime Joe Lewis, Shane?
Yeah, no. I don't really know why I used him as an example. I should have used prime George Foreman. He's a bit more stylistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll remember that for next time. But no, prime George Foreman, we'll go with that. I weren't expecting that. But and then again, I don't think he was in Vegas for that camp either. So that might have been a reason. I'm not sure. But yeah, I just think he needs someone. I'm trying to think of an example. Someone like a Makhmedov, yeah? Someone like him, like someone that's, he's got a lot of vulnerabilities, big stand-up guy, fairly slow, that you can get in there and get his work off against and eventually get the stoppage. Someone who's a bit known by people as well, or something like that. It's like the middle, it's like not fringe, it's just below fringe world level. Like just that. That's what I would class Makhmedov as. I mean, he did beat Takam Makhmedov, so he must be just below fringe world level, yeah. So, yeah, someone like that. And it puts him back in the picture for like a Chisora rematch or a Miller or one of those guys. And then he can maybe beat one of those guys. And then he can maybe, like, who knows? If Dubois still got a belt on him, he can maybe even rematch him as well. But obviously that's like the perfect way that I would look at it in the ideal world, unfortunately, and especially in boxing, you live in anything but an ideal world, don't you? So, yeah.
And Abdul, just to give you the last words, what can people expect if they've never seen you box before? What should they be expecting on November the 15th?
A very good performance, That's it. Clinical boxing.
Clinical boxing. Brilliant. Really appreciate both your time. Best of luck on the 15th. I look forward to watching it on DAZN. And yeah, let's catch up again after the fight.
Nice one. Thank you.
Top man.